So the focus of this class will be mindfulness of the body, all right? So throughout human history, there have been many very smart people, many wise people, who have said a lot of very powerful things about being mindful of your body. Kind of like surprisingly powerful things. Like, for example, starting 2,500 years ago, and I'm not saying he was the first, but 2,500 years ago, the Buddha himself said, there is one thing that when cultivated and practiced leads to deep spiritual intention, peace, clear comprehension, vision and knowledge, a happy life here and now, the culmination of wisdom and awakening. And what is that one thing? Mindfulness centered on the body. Pretty big endorsement, right? Fast forward to a couple decades ago, one of my favorite teachers, who you may recognize the name because I used his quote for one of the quotes of the week. His name is Eckhart Tolle, and he said, "Do not turn your attention elsewhere in search for the truth, for it is nowhere else to be found but within your body." Again, pretty big endorsement, right? And then, of course, you have Tom Brady, who frequently says, "My body is my temple," right? So what, I'm just joking, he's not very wise. Maybe he's wise, I don't know. Why would these really wise folks say such powerful things about the value of being mindful of your body? And when I say body, I specifically mean your sensations, like what's happening inside this like physical realm that you have, right? Especially when a lot of us talk about, the spiritual life is focused so much on spiritual things, right? That means the opposite of physical, the opposite of the body, right? So why would these spiritual teachers be talking about the value of your physical body? So I have thoughts as to why that is, but I would love I want to start practicing you guys kind of learning to tap into your own wisdom, because I really believe that all of us have all the wisdom that we need. We just kind of forget it, and like stuff piles on top of it. So I want you guys to take just 30 seconds, and if you feel comfortable, close your eyes and just kind of let your attention flood your physical body. Right? And try to let go of like any image of this like shape that you have, like if you have the shape of a person. Right? Try to let go of it. And become aware of everything that you're feeling. And just pose the question, why is this so valuable? What is the value in putting all my attention in my physical self? Don't necessarily look for a word or a sentence. A lot of times insights don't come as words and sentences, they come as this sense, like a felt sense of some truth. So take about 10 more seconds to just pose that question to yourself. Okay. Now, like I said, I have my own thoughts about this, but I would love, hi, Larson, genius, good to see you. I would love to see if any kind of insights came up while that happened, while you were posing that question. Again, it's okay if they didn't, but I want to see just want to see what you're thinking. Yeah.
Like non-attachment, the soul, and like not attaching to any physical, like material aspect when I go into like breathing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's like some kind of detachment from the physical and just going to like this like inner connection.
Yeah. So this sense of like well-being and peace comes up. Sounds like connectedness to your body, but not necessarily anything out in the external world. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Yeah, Mari.
I like to think like you're centering yourself, almost like magnets, you know? So I always feel like when I start to focus on my breathing, I almost automatically know to shift my body and I have to be as aligned as I can. Then I also start to feel like almost like the drawings we make when we draw more magnet, I feel like it goes like all around. And then once that kind of settles down, I start to feel kind of like how she explained how separated I am with my body, but how attached I am, I'm aware. And then I start to feel like, oh, this aches, that hurts. Like I start to feel it, and it kind of just starts to like bubble up before it can start to calm down. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I have to become aware of all my aches and pains before I can just sit there. And then once I have my breathing under control, it's that inner like that peace that she's trying to say.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're saying like you're able to be with those aches and pains and everything, and there's not like a fight or resistance with it.
Yeah, no, because I think at first I was almost afraid of it to where I would flinch, like, oh, what was that?
Yeah, yeah.
And then after a while,
Should I be
if
feeling this?
flinch, I'm gonna hurt myself.
Yeah.
More. I kind of have to just sit there, and because I've already taken care of my spine and my core, I feel like I can trust my breathing that I'm not gonna fall into a flinch and hurt myself.
Yeah.
I kind of have to just sit there, because if I do run away from it, I think I've done it in the past where I'm like, oh no, I feel like I pulled something.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other thoughts? Should I just go ahead and share my thoughts? Okay. Abby's like, yes, please, just share your thoughts there. Okay. All right. So I have about 4 reasons why I think that giving attention to your body is one of the most spiritually healthy things that anyone can do. Reason number 1, and probably the most important one, is that your body is your anchor to the present moment. All right? There's no way you could possibly be fretting about what happened, feeling guilty about something that happened in the past, or worrying about something that happened in the future if your attention is on your body, because our bodies are in the present moment, right? Our bodies don't live in the past. Our bodies don't live in the future. Obviously, one day it will live in the future, and at some point it did live in the past, but right now it is in the present. So if your attention is here, then 1000% you know you're in the present moment, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean, as Mari says, that it's going to feel perfect. It's going to feel good, that you're going to feel blissed out, right? Remember, we talked about last time, mindfulness isn't necessarily a drug that just makes you feel good all the time. But what it does is, as soon as you're in the present moment, you're not adding any more fuel to your fires that you set for yourself often, right? That your thoughts set for yourself. There's no way that you're contributing to your own, negative thinking and these spirals that we can get ourselves into, right? So the practice of even just, turning to the breath when we're feeling overwhelmed has the power that it does, because we're bringing ourselves into the present moment and we're letting go of all that thinking. We're letting go of the past. We're letting go of the future. Okay? All right. Reason number 2, and this is something we also mentioned last time, is that being aware of your body is like this nature's beautiful alarm system, right? It lets us know of our emotional state so that we don't act a fool, right? We, when we're, aware of how we're feeling, it's much easier for us to act in line with our values, with, the person that we want to be in this world. Yeah. So does that make sense? Reason number 3, and this is pretty cool. Being mindful of the body also lets you realize maybe one of the most powerful truths of human life, which is that this too shall pass, right? That all emotional states are impermanent, right? A lot of times we'll feel something and then immediately go into our head like, oh, I'm gonna feel this way the rest of I'm never gonna be happy again, right? How many of you have felt that way? Like, yeah. And so there's actually this kind of really remarkable modern science. One study in particular that showed that the average length of any emotion, right, the lifetime of one emotional response is typically 90 seconds, right? So let's say, you know, a dog runs out in front of the car, you slam on the brakes, you get really scared for a second. How long does that typically last? 90 seconds. So that begs the question, how is it and why is it that if you feel something else, like let's say resentment, right, or guilt, that you can feel it for a whole day or a week or sometimes a freaking lifetime? What's going on there? That's not a rhetorical question. Say it. You're replaying the moment, right? You're re-triggering the original emotion with your thinking, with your thoughts, right? Every time you think it again, then that 90-second clock starts over again. 90-second clock starts over again. 90 seconds. And even if the 90-second clock is up because you went to go to a movie and you enjoyed the movie, or you went to a party and you enjoyed the party and you forgot about it in a second, the second you get back in your car and think the thought again, you re-trigger it, right? So there's this beautiful power in realizing that if we just sit with an emotion, don't judge it, don't create these stories that we often do about something we're feeling, right? Like if we're feeling guilty, we have this crazy story that we tell ourselves about what a bad person we are and how we're rotten and, you know, we don't deserve this or that. If you let that story go and put your attention on the present moment, on your body, then it loosens up and thaws all of that ickiness. Okay? So that's for reason number 3. I do want to make one note, and that is, if somebody was in this room who lived with chronic pain, they'd be like, Scott, you're full of shit. This stuff lasts forever, right? And that is true. That is true. People with chronic pain, they're dealing with most of their lives, right? But even in that situation, mindfulness of the body and mindfulness in general allows you to change your relationship with that pain, right? So that you have this much more open, welcoming, inviting relationship. And there's whole like mindfulness-based stress reduction courses that are have had remarkable success with making people just live differently with, you know, this stuff that is hard for them to cope with. Reason number 4, also super important, is that our body is our home, right? And it's the only home that we're ever gonna have, unless they do some crazy sci-fi stuff where we like are able to like shift consciousness into other people, right? That's far away yet, but for right now, our body is our only home, right? So we might as well learn to be comfortable in it, right? Have you ever like lived in someone else's house for a while and you just like totally didn't feel comfortable? Yeah. Basically anyone else's house other than my house, I feel that way about. But why would we want to feel that way inside of our own home, inside of our own body, right? So providing some attention to the body gives ourselves that opportunity to look face to face at the things that might be scary, the things in our attic, right, the things in our basement, and invite it in. Develop this kind of like loving relationship with it. It's not always going to be easy, but it is you. It is you. It's all of us, right? So we might as well make friends. Okay. All right. So 4 reasons. Body is the anchor to the present moment. Our body is our alarm system. Our body, giving attention to the body makes us realize that emotions don't last forever. They're impermanent. And lastly, our body is our home. So we might as well be comfortable living that. Now, these are a lot of really great things, a lot of really great benefits to being mindful of the body. So why aren't we always mindful of the body? Why aren't we always in the present moment? I have some thoughts about that too. Okay. So obviously, this is not that easy. And the reason it is because I have at least 3 barriers that I'd like to share with you for becoming mindful of the body. The first barrier is an inability to feel it, right? For most of our lives, we have learned that our bodies can be scary. They can be scary places. It's where we feel all our fear, right? It's where we feel all of our shame, where we feel all of our physical pain, right? So it makes it really easy for us to learn to kind of numb out, right? And what happens then is not only do you feel this feeling of disconnection with yourself, right? This kind of almost disembodied feeling, but you also feel you like lose this opportunity to know what you truly care about, right? So for example, if you never feel social anxiety, for example, right? Social anxiety is a thing that almost everybody feels to some degree, right? You miss the fact that the whole reason why you feel social anxiety is because you care about people, right? You wouldn't feel that fear of interacting with other people if you weren't, if it wasn't something that was deeply important to you and you worried how people saw you and you were yearning to connect with other people, right? So if you never allowed yourself to feel that fear, to feel that anxiety, you're also disconnecting yourself with one of the things that's most important to you, right? Which is connection and being together. So the good news is that there is a remedy for not feeling the body, and that remedy is practicing mindfulness of the body. And when you begin this process, it's very important that you don't feel any sort of judgment. You don't generate this judgment for not feeling it. I'm going to say this so many times about not judging yourself, because so many people start the path of mindfulness and quit because they're like, I suck at this, I'm not making any progress, I'm missing something that other people have. No, you're not. We're just all in different places. We're all on this journey, right? But the one commonality is that we all need to feel, we need to be aware. We need to be awake to actually experience and enjoy the one life that we're living. And part of that awareness means not being a jerk to yourself, okay? So, don't judge yourself if you're not feeling anything, right? And I have a few tips to how to slowly generate this like reconnection with your body over time. The first tip is to begin with areas of the body where it's easier to feel. So for example, turns out there's more nerve endings in the palms of your hand, in your face, and in the soles of your feet. And these tend to be areas where it's easier to begin to start to kind of feel yourself, right? So indulge me for a second and just kind of like close your eyes and feel your hands. And just see if you can notice like any kind of just tingling or vibration or coolness, or feeling the air brush past it, or just some aliveness that you can't even really describe. I used to not feel very much in my body, and I used to do these 10-day silent meditation retreats where for 10 hours a day we'd be meditating, and you're not talking to anybody, and so you're face to face with your everything. And one day, it was like day 4 of one of these retreats, my like body just like lit up like a Christmas tree. I started feeling all these things that I've never felt before, and it was interesting. It's cool. It's like you feel embodied. Like that's the best way that I can describe it. So tip number 2 for feeling your body is this practice called the body scan, which is actually the type of meditation that we're going to learn today. Raise your hand if anyone's ever done that, like with the Calm app. Yeah, genius. Body. Yeah. So yeah, we're going to be practicing that today, and that's just like whoa, face to face with your whole physical experience. And lastly, one of the best ways to develop awareness of the body is to check in with your body at random moments of the day. So like boring moments, like you're waiting at the doctor's office, you're waiting at a light, you're waiting in line, just kind of notice your posture, right? Notice like what you're doing. It's important that you don't let this distract you, right? Don't be mindful of the body when you're, taking a test, right? That's not the time, right? You're supposed to be focused, doing your thing. Sometimes you can be mindful of the body while you're taking a test, see your heart beating, you're like, my heart's beating, right? Then you can freak out and get distracted. Giving a speech, don't worry about being mindful of the body while you're giving a speech. You're focusing on the task at hand. But at other key moments in your life, it's important to just check in. Because here's what happens. The body starts to trust you, right? That you're on its side. The more that you witness, the more that you're aware of your physical self without assaulting it with your judgments, the more it's like, okay, cool, I'll spend some time with you, right? It's the same thing with like relationships between parents and kids, right? When like parents are all frustrated because their kid doesn't want to spend any time with them, they don't realize it's because they judge them constantly, right? Parents judging the kids constantly, and you're like, stop judging me, right? And if the parents just like were not judging and just kind of approving and just were kind of a mirror to their child instead of like something that was actually always disapproving in some way, the kids would want to spend more time with them. Does that analogy work? Yeah, that makes sense. I apologize to anybody who has a really great relationship with your parents. That doesn't apply to you. My parents, on the other hand, if this ends up on YouTube, sorry, Mom. Okay, all right, that's barrier one, an inability to feel the body. Barrier number two is the exact opposite. It's being completely overwhelmed by what we feel in the body. And those of us that have experienced anxiety or panic attacks at any time in life, that is typically our thing, right? You develop this like almost a hypervigilance, right? Like you become super aware of any little things happening in the body that might mean, anxiety or panic. Because what are we afraid of? We're afraid that we will actually become overwhelmed by it, right? And so I had one experience that was, probably one of the 2 or 3 most kind of life-changing moments that I've ever had before, which I was on one of these retreats that I mentioned, super meditation boot camp retreats, and I don't know, it was like day 7 or something like that, and I'm laying down to go to sleep, and I start to feel a little bit agitated, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit up and start meditating. I'm going to do the practice. I'm just going to become aware of it. And I slowly started to notice the agitation turning into like these waves of fear that like build up and then crash. And then I was like, whoa, that's really, really intense. And it started getting stronger and stronger. And at some point it became the absolute worst fear I've ever felt in my life. Out of nothing, out of nowhere, right? And I think it was what my body needed at that moment. It needed to release this fear. And I started to have all the normal thoughts that come along with it, right? Like, I can't handle this. This is gonna traumatize me, and I'm gonna be broken. It's gonna make this easier for me to feel this way in the future. I'm going crazy, right? Those were probably my biggest thoughts. And I was like, do the practice. And I said, thank you very much, mind. And I just sat holding these huge waves of fear as they were crashing, feeling like at any second I could be completely overwhelmed by it. But I sat with it, and then slowly but surely, the waves started to get less and less intense, and eventually faded away. It was maybe like 10, 15 minutes total this happened. And I had had panic attacks before, and usually after a panic attack, I'm like, that was the most awful thing ever, and you're worried about the next time it's gonna happen. And this time, I was like, that was awesome. Now, why did I say that is awesome? I was honestly exhilarated. I felt exhilarated. Why did I feel exhilarated? I was like for the first time in my life, and I've had a lot of time to process this, for the first time in my life, I realized I could hold anything, right? This was the worst fear of my life, the worst fear I could imagine rising up inside of me, the worst panic I could imagine. And I sat with it, I didn't judge it, I didn't push it away, I didn't resist it, I let it be there. It wasn't comfortable, it didn't feel good. But what happened? It slowly passed away, and I was like, I can do that again, right? If that's the worst that I have to be afraid of, I can do that again. And I could never be that afraid again, right? After that, like it took the teeth out of anxiety, right? And I also realized two other things. One, it doesn't last forever. And two, that it doesn't actually have the power to hurt me the way that I thought it did, right? It just was a little bit of uncomfortableness. And I guess to add to that, one more thing, I also learned that what really does have the power to hurt me is this. All the thinking about it. I'm going crazy. I'm broken. I'm going to be traumatized by this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So let the mind do its thing and just be aware of those moments when you feel uncomfortable. And the fear of being overwhelmed by what's in the body, that barrier to mindfulness, is lessened. Okay? Last barrier that I have is that mindfulness of the body in many ways can contradict our own instincts. And what do I mean by that? Well, the thing that put us on top of the food chain is our ability to control everything, right? We are so, that's what our organisms are so good at, right? That is why we have conquered the world. We can control everything. We solve problems, build houses, make clothes, right? We can control with a remote control, right? There's so much that we can control, but what happens inside of our skin, we don't, right? We don't have control over that. And that is freaking scary, right? It's not comfortable to like have to give up that control, right? So many spiritual practices, you know, say that the essence of spiritual practice is surrender. And that word's tricky, because a lot of times when you say surrender, people are like, no, there's injustice in the world, I want to solve that, right? I'm not going to surrender to my physics class, I'm going to conquer my physics class, right? No, I'm not saying give up on the things that you want out of life. The things you can control, yes, do it. The things you can work for, yes, do it. The things you can't control though, surrender. Let it be open to it, right? And that is the ultimate promise of mindfulness, because when you could surrender to the things you can't control, again, what is there to be afraid of? Okay? All right. That wraps up my speaking portion of mindfulness of the body. And we're going to have time for questions in a little while at the end, but we're going to shift to the meditation practice of the hour, which is the body scan. Okay? And so I want to be cognizant of whatever's most comfortable for everybody. But usually this is done like laying down on the mat. So if you're comfortable with that, lay down. But it's not essential. If you want to do it, you know, just be in the position you're in right now and practice it. That's also fine. I am going to move my mat to the side here and lay down as I do it to get myself in the zone. I also acknowledge that it might be hard to hear instructions because of this damn air conditioner. Look at me judging the air conditioner. So if you can't hear me, just say, Scott, I can't hear you, be loud. Deal? Okay. All right. So, laying back, and letting your feet just fall to the side in a totally relaxed way, and if it's comfortable, letting your palms open up and fall to the side. So your palms are facing up. Just like before, let's start with just flooding our body with attention. Just feeling the body as it is. Letting it be as it is. Totally surrendering to the moment as it is. Letting yourself sink into the mat with each breath as you let go. Just take a few seconds to watch the breath. Watch your body breathing. Again, with each breath, let your body just relax deeper into the mat. When you're ready, putting your attention into the toes of your left foot. And just noticing whatever's there. Could be tingling, could be warmth, could be coolness. You might even feel the fabric of your sock. Whatever's there, just let it be. Just give it your attention. When you're ready, just let your toes dissolve. Let them go. And move your attention to the sole of your feet. Just the whole bottom of your left foot. And again, notice any sensations that are there. It could be tingling, it could be coolness, the feeling of your heel on the floor. Just experience it. And open that up to feeling your entire left foot. Sometimes it helps to visualize breathing in and having all that air just go down into your left foot. So breathing in your left foot on the inhale. And then the exhale, just breathing out of that left foot. Whatever you may be experiencing. When you're ready, just let that whole left foot just dissolve as you sink deeper into the mat. And moving your attention to your lower leg, your lower left leg. You're trying to let go any tension in that left leg, letting go completely, while noticing whatever's there. And when you're ready, let your lower left leg also just kind of dissolve as you sink deeper and deeper into the mat. With each breath. And move your attention to your knee and your upper left leg. Just noticing that too, exactly as it is. The pressure from the ground, any pain from walking that day, any tension, just let it go. And when you're ready, just let that upper left leg also just dissolve as you sink deeper and deeper into the mat. Turn your attention to your right foot. Again, be aware of the sensations that present itself. Could be you don't feel anything. It's fine. Just give it your attention. You might be able to feel your heel resting on the floor. Noticing that. And when you're ready, just let the foot go. Let it dissolve as you sink deeper into the mat. And moving your attention into your lower right leg. As you do this, continue to breathe into these parts of your body. Imagine air just coming into your lungs, down your leg, into your lower leg. As you feel everything that's there, just as it is. When you're ready, letting go of your right lower leg also. And sinking deeper into the mat, move your attention to your right thigh. And breathe into that as well. Feel the mat underneath you. Feel any sensations in your leg. And when you're ready, let your right thigh just dissolve as you sink deeper into the mat. Take a moment to check in with your body as a whole. Feel how relaxed it is and how surrendered it is. How deep you're sinking into the mat. And moving your attention to your glutes. Feeling the sensations there and any pressure from the ground. Noticing any sensations. And when you're ready, just let your glutes dissolve. Move your attention into your back. You might feel the most pressure here. Maybe it's not pressure, maybe it's just almost feeling like the ground is the side of your back. But whatever's there, just notice it and let it be exactly as it is. And then when you're ready, let that dissolve as well. And notice your belly. Notice your body breathing all by itself without any help from you. It's one thing you just don't need to worry about. And with each breath, again, let yourself sink deeper and deeper into the floor. Then notice your entire torso, your whole trunk. Just notice what's there. No judgments. And when you're ready, letting that just dissolve as you sink deeper into the mat. You put your attention into your left hand. Feeling anything there. As I said before, the hands are often the easiest to feel. So notice any life in your hands, any tingling. And when you're ready, letting your hands dissolve as well. And move your attention into your left arm. This arm that do all this work all day. Putting your attention there. Noticing the feeling of your arm resting on the floor. And when you're ready, letting that dissolve too as you sink even deeper into the mat. And moving your attention over to your right hand. Again, noticing anything you feel, any life. Again, you can breathe into it. Allowing your arm into your right hand. And when you're ready, letting go of that as well. Moving your attention into your right arm. Letting it be exactly as it is. each breath, just sinking deeper into the mat. And when you're ready, go with your right arm and move your attention into your neck and your shoulders. This is a part of the body that does so much all day and we rarely even think about it. We rarely ever give it any attention. We rarely let go of the tension there. Just feel what's there. It might be tension, maybe it's relaxed by now. Or whatever's there, it's totally fine. Just breathe into it. Letting go. Deeper and deeper into the mat. And when you're ready, just letting your shoulders and neck dissolve as well. Putting your attention on your face. There's a lot of life here too. Smiling and talking and grimacing all day. Just let your face go. Completely. Just totally relaxing every muscle in the face. Until that too, you just dissolve. As you sink even deeper into the mind. And then moving your attention to your scalp, the top of your head. Noticing whatever is left there. Just noticing the top of your head, anything you're feeling, experiencing. Ready? Letting go of that too. Just letting it dissolve. And then moving your attention to your whole body again. Just totally surrendered. Noticing the wholeness of it. Notice what it feels like to welcome and be open to whatever it is that you experience. Just notice the freedom in that openness. Notice feeling connected to your home, your one home. And just enjoy that for a minute. Should we do that after every physics test? Does anyone want to share anything from that experience? Yeah, genius.
I describe the yoga and meditation as delicious.
Mm.
Just really fruitful and fun. I didn't really fall asleep, but I just lost myself. I forgot I was looking at it. It was so peaceful.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome. Any other experiences you want to share?
I kind of felt like I was falling for a little bit. I don't know what it was. It was like when you kind of start shifting away from the legs.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was falling, but not falling is like dissolve. It's like I felt like I actually did dissolve. And it's like my body was like this relaxation. Like in yoga we do this too, it's called a vinyasa. We just like
Mhm,
go down
mhm.
into that. But I felt it very much. I'm usually aware of that feeling, but usually I like very deep this time. That's when I felt the I felt like I got dropped. But it was a good feeling. Like it was a good drop.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll notice, and you two weren't here last week, but we kind of mentioned this. When you get in these really relaxed states, start to feel weird stuff sometimes, and that's just naturally it. So, in a relaxed state, it usually means physiologically what's happening. Your nerves are communicating better, right? Stuff's flowing better. So you might see flashing lights. You might see, Jenna had this feeling of being rocked last week. So it's neither anything to be weirded out by or anything to seek out. It's just naturally part of the process. Cool. All right. We have time is up, but turn it.
I sort of saw the lights kind of moving around on my eyes. Once we got like above the shoulders, I keep myself from not falling, like feeling I was falling asleep.
Sometimes that's just what the body needs. Yeah, it's good to try to be alert, but if you do fall asleep, the worst thing that happens is you get some really nice sleep. Any last minute questions that you guys have before? Yeah.
I heard that. What were you?
Yeah.